Thank you, Dr. Rizal, for your speech and for being my PhD advisor as well. Our next speaker is Vildan Kortan. She is currently the Group Director of R&D Supply Chain Organization within Bristol Myers Squibb Company. She has 20+ years of experience in pharmaceutical industry, holding positions as Director of Worldwide Clinical Supplies Logistics, Clinical Supply Chain Manager, Production Planner, Quality Specialist, Chemical Process Engineer, and Analytical Scientist. She holds an MS degree in Ceramic Engineering from Rutgers University and BS degree in Chemical Engineering from Istanbul Technical University. Please welcome Vildan Kortan.
The one in the middle. Removable disk E. I think so.
First of all, thank you so much, Farah, for putting all this together. I know how much work you have done, receiving all those email chains and understanding how you try to reach out to, large audience. And thank you everybody for coming here today. And I appreciate your efforts, and hopefully we can help out in the future when we are actually doing, more events like this. Second, I really enjoyed listening to your talks. And I just remember that yesterday, actually, my husband and I went to Thomas Edison laboratories, first time. We've been in New Jersey for 30 years, and we have never been there. So I enjoyed it so much, I'll tell you. If you haven't been there, please go. So I learned that Thomas Edison said, I am not a scientist, I'm an inventor. And I will not work on a project if it doesn't have immediate application in the industry. And he actually, he had 1,093 patents, and most of them actually were successful in the industry. And he developed from electric percolators to, I don't know, toasters and those household goods that we use today every day. He had the prototypes of all those, as well as how to do industrial machinery or equipment, and everything that he discovered, innovated in his laboratory, and immediately had factories to make it. He was actually the starter of the General Electric Corporation. So I really never knew all these, and it was really eye-opening information for me, so I just wanted to mention that. So, okay, let's, coming back to my talk today. Since, I felt like, other speakers are going to talk about more technical and scientific subjects, I thought I would just talk about my career development and leadership development in a corporation. So when I just say, then what is my job? When you look at what I do, I am a general manager in broad terms. I manage an operation at Bristol Myers Squibb. But when you ask me what my brand is, I develop staff to deliver superior performance. So this is how I would like to start my talk. So when we are talking about developing our careers, holding jobs, there is some core to how we make decisions, which is like what we stand for and what we want to do with our careers in our life. So there are some people who understand this brand very early, and there are some that it just comes to you as you go through your career. So it didn't happen to be very early, but then I realized as I go through my career, this is where I ended up. So I recently enrolled in an executive leadership development program. That's where there was a lot of emphasis on understanding yourself and your brand, so you make your decisions accordingly. So, really quickly what I did in my career. I graduated from ITU in 1981, when actually I saw that, when like meeting new people from ITU graduates, that kind of I'm realizing that I'm really old-timer. So I went to Tufts for a period of time doing my master's, then we moved to New Jersey, and I graduated from Rutgers with a master's degree in '87. Then I started my career in Bristol-Myers Squibb. I did many, many different jobs, which I'm not going to go through all these details, but how I made these decisions to move from one job to another. Sometimes it just happened, somebody just offered me the job. Sometimes I really went out and looked for one. And I ended up here. I'm a group director in supply chain organization. And I continuously get involved with other things besides my job. So I am leading the Women in Science chapter in New Brunswick. I work in New Brunswick. And this is a women's organization. We do scientific education as well as career development programs. And I am a mentor in Healthcare Businesswomen Association, which I really enjoy my contributions there, which is not a paid job or a formal job. It is something that I do at spare time, and I get to meet really wonderful people and do really great things. So how did I progress in my career? Just then, I really did not have a focus or a plan. I just wanted a job, and I got this job, which was I started as a co-op student actually. So I always kept focused on what is important for the company and what's needed, and I aligned myself with that. And I was always involved in continuous education. There are, company offers you opportunities, and it's just up to us to go and get that. Well, I was never shy about asking for what I can do for the company or what I want to do, and they really like that. Sometimes again I look for opportunities. Sometimes they were presented to me. But when they were presented to me, it wasn't that easy. It is just they really needed somebody to do the hard work, and if you were willing to stick your neck out and take that on. So I practiced work-life integration, which was at my time they talked about work-life balance, and just recently they realized that it really doesn't happen and it doesn't exist. So we really need to practice work-life integration, which almost everyone does it these days. So just some advice for others. Hard work always comes first. Doing a really, really good job is needed. So I see, there's a pressure on young people these days. When you start your career, you have to know what you're going to do in 5 years, what you're going to do in 10 years. It is very difficult to know what you're going to do in 5, 10 years because you're just starting. But if you can do a really, really good job in what you're doing, your path will be open for you. And you're just going to have to put some efforts into it, but really good job, doing a good job is really important. So understanding a competitive landscape, which is not necessarily competition with your peers and others, but understanding what else is being done in this particular area that you're working on. What are other companies are doing, and what else that you can learn to be, better than others maybe, or at least as good. Of course, keeping up with the technology is very important. I mean, I don't have to say this these days. At my time, keeping up with technology was, important, learning how to use the computers and all that. But nowadays, technology is in every day, in everything we do. And, there's a lot more fast pace, and we've got to keep up with that. And knowing your strengths and finding positions where you can use your strengths. So sometimes we find ourselves in jobs that, we're always told, you have to improve this, you have to improve that. Sometimes it gets very stressful and difficult because you may be in the wrong area. That if you're always trying to improve things about yourself, maybe it is that wrong area that you need to pick something else that you can maybe have a few things to improve about, but mostly what you're doing is really comfortable for you, and you can just push yourself to make it even better, but not necessarily change. So that is a very, very important point. So I'm finding in my career over the years that people are promoted to managerial positions because they're very successful as an individual contributor. Then they find themselves in a very difficult situation because managerial is not for everybody. It has its own challenges, and if you're willing to do it or not, and if you're comfortable with people, if you are, some people are, happy working, as an individual contributor, and there are just opportunities for advancement in that area as well. So, so flexibility and understanding social styles. So we find ourselves in situations that, we don't necessarily see eye to eye with our colleagues and peers. Sometimes, we think that they're just doing certain things because either they don't want to work with us, but that's not necessarily true. There are such thing called social styles. People work differently. Understanding your social style as well as others is very important. There are tests for that, and then there are ways to understand that. So we just need to work on that. So getting along and staying above petty stuff in the workplace is very important. As a manager, as in also, over the years, you have to see yourself in a certain place and stay out of all those. And, things can take you down and bring you down. So, importance of good communication skills. As this is a challenge for us, as a, people who were born in, different countries and came here. So learning a language and being very comfortable with that is always, a challenge. So as much as possible, good writing and speaking skills are very important. We have to, do, things to improve that as much as possible. So non-stop networking. When people talk about networking, they just think that networking is getting to know people only, which is not really. Networking is an art, and it is mainly the things that you do for other people that comes back to you. It's not only getting to know people, it is also doing things for others selflessly. Then it is returning back to you. So I think we have to understand that, and it's always, they call it non-stop or networking, it needs to continue. Finding mentors and sponsors. Again, this is a mentorship seminar, and I think that's very important to work with people. So sometimes, in corporations, they set up mentorship pro level, but there is a, leveling off. So sponsors are people who actually, stick their neck out for you and recommend you for positions and being your advocate in larger forums and so creating confidence in you so other people can take chances on you. So 360 feedback and taking feedback very seriously is very important, of course. So 360 feedback can be done in many different ways, but it is mainly understanding what other people think about you and your style and your behavior and your performance. So, however, if somebody gives you feedback and if you get very defensive about it and not take it seriously, it's not a very good thing because people won't give you feedback again. Nobody wants to deal. If somebody is giving you a feedback, they're giving you a gift. So this is how we look at it in corporations. Feedback is a gift, and we have to take it very seriously. Listen to it, without being defensive, and showing that you take an action, and then it creates really great relationships. So my last advice is continuously learning. So I'm a lifelong learner. I just took a executive leadership program in a course that was 6 months long, and I learned so much about myself and about others, and I can, every year I have to do something, otherwise I feel that, maybe, it's just, I have to keep up. I have to learn something new, which energizes me, which brings me back, and I feel like there's more I can offer if I continuously learn. So that's the end of my talk, and I'll take any questions after if